A ketogenic diet is a good diet for young and old. And if you are over 50 like me and you have some established beliefs that you're battling against. You might have some metabolic debt that you've accumulated over the years of poor dieting, and they make weight loss a little bit more challenging. In this video, we're going to share 5 keto tips for those of us over the age of 50.
So going back decades, right? The war on fat started back in the 70s, early 70s. I was a teenager back then.
Yeah, I was not quite, a little
Not
bit.
quite. You were close. Well, you were close enough.
Yeah.
The food pyramid came out in the 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, so we had decades of learning that fat was bad,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we grew up with all these misconceptions, right? We grew up being taught that eating fat makes you fat, number one. So everything went low fat or no fat. We learned that eating sugar was required for energy, right? It was energy
like
food.
pep pills. So when I was a kid in like the 70s, I would take, remember those Smarties?
Yep, a little roll.
And like the little plastic wrapper. So I would take those out on our property and like put them in my pocket and then like use them as like pep pills.
Oh yeah,
energy.
Oh, yeah.
I would like pretend that they're like energy pills, like a superhero.
Well, and I remember Underdog had a super energy pill.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a Smartie.
In his ring, it could have been a Smartie. Yeah,
it's probably sugar.
Yeah, and kind of from that, we were also told that breakfast was absolutely without a doubt the most important meal a day. And you needed to eat a lot of carbs at breakfast.
Yeah, right.
So what do we eat?
Oh, yeah. When we were growing up, cereal for sure.
Cereal,
yeah,
French toast, pancakes,
oh, yeah.
waffles. I mean, all that stuff. And and not healthy cereal, quote unquote healthy cereal.
Your
right?
favorite was, what was that with the
Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue cereal. That can't be good for you.
Yeah, not really.
But so that brings us to our first tip, and it is that you can skip breakfast, and it's actually ketogenic diet or low carb diet and skipping breakfast, intermittent fasting really do go hand in hand, and they really work well for a lot of people, and we see that in our comments underneath. But I think the question that we often have over the age of 50 is this really healthy, or am I kind of just doing this and losing weight but losing my health at the same time? I had done a video. If you don't know, I have a second YouTube channel, similar things that we talk about, but much more low carb on that. But anyway, I did a video on intermittent fasting over the age of 50 for women. Is it helpful or harmful? And in that video, I talked about a review study that came out in 2016. And so it was a review study. So it was looking and collating all of the studies that were done on women's health, intermittent fasting, and aging. And what they found was overwhelmingly positive results from these women as we age, losing belly fat because of intermittent fasting, muscle and joint health improvement, reduction in depression. Even some of the studies that they brought into this review study talked about the positive effects against cancer, and showing that intermittent fasting might even close off some pathways to certain cancers.
Yeah, so there may be some supportive evidence there for following a ketogenic diet in those cases. So we talked about all those misconceptions that we grew up with, right? So now we know, right? It's that eating fat does not make you fat. Eating sugar is what makes you fat, makes your insulin go up, right?
Which kind of takes us right into our next 2 points. So the first one,
you should add some fat, and specifically, we're kind of talking like personally, what we would do is with our non-starchy vegetables, the things that we saute or whatever. Adding some butter, or adding some avocado oil or coconut oil, and getting those good healthy fats in there. And then it's good in a number of ways. Having those fats in with those vegetables helps your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins that are in those vegetables. So and we bring this up as a point to say that it is important to add
fat, because that is such a hard thing for us. And Keith was talking about sauteing, vegetables in fat. Well, if you're eating a salad, we had grew up with the low-fat salad dressings. And what's in a low-fat salad dressing to make it palatable? Sugar.
Right.
Put full-fat salad dressing on, and you'll actually be able to pull more of the fat-soluble vitamins and minerals out of that
Right.
of those vegetables.
Right. So obviously we're talking so vegetables are carbohydrates, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that kind of takes us to point 3, that we need to avoid refined carbohydrates. And we're talking about, anything that gets refined. Sugar always comes from a plant. So the more refining, the more further away it gets from its natural state in that plant. So in a plant, the sugar molecules are typically kind of locked into the fibers. So when you're eating a whole plant, vegetable, it is not, that sugar is not going to get into your system, super fast like it does if you're taking a teaspoon of sugar, right? And spiking your insulin, which is going to, again, lead to that fat deposition, where you don't want it to be going on.
Yeah, and I think this is important because as keto diet, as low carb dieting starts to really get a hold, which is a wonderful thing. But now we're starting to see some food manufacturers come up with keto friendly foods, and these are not in their whole state anymore. They've been processed,
refined,
maybe throw in some fiber so they can bring down that net carb, which we talk about often, but we won't get into here.
No.
But that's really the point that we're looking at. Eat your carbs in a whole state, and that parlays into our 4th tip, which is cook at home more often. You will know what's in your food more often.
Right.
And I will say, we certainly aren't against going out to eat. In fact, we're probably leaving to go in about 15 minutes to go out to our standing lunch date.
Yep.
Right? Standing lunch date
25 years.
20.
Every Wednesday.
We've been married for 26 years.
26 years.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that at lunch.
Might be our last lunch.
But the advantage is that you do know what's in your food. Now, when we do go out to eat, and when you were losing your 80 pounds, you were very religious about checking the restaurant online before we went, and really picking what you were going to eat.
Right. And you can't do this with like your local kind of mom and pop restaurants. Unfortunately, you have no idea. They don't have any idea really. But most of the larger chains have all this nutritional information available for you online, and the menus. You can look this stuff up before you go. And we talked about restaurants. What do they do to make their food more palatable, right?
Yeah. What are they in the business of? Making good food.
Yeah.
How do you make food more palatable?
Sugar.
One way is add sugar, right?
So that always makes me think of McDonald's French fries. McDonald's French fries are like to die for, right? I mean, everybody loves McDonald's French fries. Because they put sugar in the salt mix that they sprinkle on them. It's like it's got everything you need, right?
Yep.
Just like boom, right into your brain.
Yeah. So you really do have to watch things that you would absolutely not think that they would put sugar in. They will put sugar in a restaurant, and you certainly can eat out on keto, but you might want to check online first.
Yep.
And that brings us to our last tip, which is mindset matters. We have gotten a lot of things ingrained over the years, but the reality is that as we get over the age of 50, our metabolisms do change. They are not what they were. Yeah. But so our thoughts and expectations have to, just be adjusted. You can reach monumental health at this age, but we do have to be smart about it. And also on my other channel, I had done just recently a video on losing weight over 60, and it was really a great video because the members of our Freedom Health weight loss coaching program came together and provided me with some answers to some questions. So I asked people over the age of 60. And one of the things that I asked our members was, now that you're over, now this is over 60, but over 50 counts too, right?
Yep.
What are the specific challenges that you face? So it was really telling, one had said, you have to get past the mindset of, well, this is just how it is for me. I'm kind of too old to change. And another lady had a really interesting thing on eating fat. She said that I really had to get past the thought of allowing myself to eat fat and not eat low fat everything. But that took, reprogramming an entire lifetime of a mindset.
It goes against everything that we were taught growing up,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
for most of our adult lives, actually.
Yeah. So there you go. Those are 5 tips. I know it's it's a lot to wrap your head around. If you kind of struggle with some of these concepts, know that you're not alone. Oh my goodness, we have in our Freedom Health program there's so many people that are over the age 50, 60, even 70s and beyond, and they are getting success. It is never too late. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So if you're looking for a place for some camaraderie, we'll point you to the Freedom Health program.
Yeah.
All right, great. Maddie, you have anything to add? You good?
I guess we're good.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks.